Now here to talk about all things border security is Tarrant County Sheriff Bill Waybourn. And in a moment, he'll tell you why you don't mess with Texas. So Sheriff, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I first want to get your opinion on the border crisis that's going on right now at the southern border. What's your take on what's going on at the very moment?
At the very moment, Alex, the wall is going up. The Mexican government is doing a great job on protecting their southern border and their northern border, and along with Guatemala and a couple of other countries, and we've reduced people coming across the border. So that we've got some really good news that is going on down there.
And, I do want to talk about the wall right now because, of course, that was a major issue in 2016, and it probably will be once again in 2020. So we look at reports, and a lot of people say that there is no new border construction at the southern border, but instead it's replacement fencing. Is that still the case, and is that still effective if it is?
It is not the case. They are putting up a border wall down there. And by the way, as this goes on, as people wonder where President Trump come up with this, it came up from the noble people that are protecting our border, the Border Patrol people and so forth like that. That's who came up with actually a border wall to have these people be able to funnel these people to ports of entry.
And, you are down in Texas, so you very much so are on the front lines of this conflict right now. What does a border wall mean for this whole process? And really, what other methods do we need in order to deter illegal immigration from coming into your state?
Well, I think that Congress needs to go to work to close the loopholes so they don't incentivize families to come over, number one. And number two is that once they've done that, is that we have got to get our act together and have a very comprehensive immigration plan. And, what we have is very old and out of date, and I think it's Congress is the key to this.
And I do want to touch on that as well, because Congress really hasn't been cooperating as far up to this point. I mean, the president was forced to declare a national security emergency. But with that being said, we did have a 10% decrease in illegal, at least apprehensions last month. There's a difference I want to note for our viewers between actual crossings and apprehensions, because we really don't know how many people are crossing the border. So acknowledging the fact that there was a 10% decrease in October, what do you attribute that to?
Well, I think because of the wall and because of the good work of the Mexican government, and I'll agree with you, Congress hasn't done anything. The only leadership that we've seen on the border has been done by the president, holding the Mexicans' feet to the fire and the other countries' feet to the fire, and I think that's why we've seen that reduction.
But there's still a long ways to go. As you said, Congress isn't necessarily cooperating. The administration is a little bit handcuffed through the court system at the very moment. There's something like 9 cases going through regarding the administration's immigration agenda. But what would you like to see? What is the next step in really securing our border and addressing this issue of people coming over illegally, the backup of the court system, all these things that are building up? What is the next step that you would like to see?
I would like to see the continuation of securing the border. I think that has to be focused, number one. And the second thing is Congress going to work. And then the third thing is addressing the need for more border agents down there and more Border Patrol officers on the boots on the ground facing this threat of the southern border.
Building on that point, President Andres Lopez Obrador, he kind of ran on an issue of immigration himself. A lot of people view him as almost the leftist version of Trump in Mexico. He said that they have to secure the southern border and they have to get rid of crime. But as we've seen, crime is very much so still prevalent in Mexico, but a lot of it is coming from cartels, people who are already in the country. Is that something that the U.S. needs to make sure that they deter in order to avoid that crime from coming into the U.S.?
Absolutely. The cartel is playing a major role, and they are impacting our lives all across the United States. They impact our lives right here in the greater Fort Worth area every day. And I would like to see the Mexican government be more aggressive, and I would like for them to accept the invitation of President Trump for us to get involved in wiping out the cartel and treating them like the terrorists that they are.